This is Natalie Brown here as a part of Sabre Academy along with Alexis Riddick and Aaliyah Tuckman. Today we're going to discuss box and whisker plots. A box and whisker plot is an important graph that you can use to distribute and display data in an easy visual representation. And so when you're making a box and whisker plot, you need to have specific components of it. So the first component we're going to talk about is the IQR, which is also known as the interquartile range. And so you're going to have three different quartiles, quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. And these are abbreviated as Q1, Q2, and Q3. So now your IQR is going to be the difference between Q3 and Q1, which you get by subtracting the two. Next, your range is going to be the difference between the lowest and the highest values. So you're going to take the extremes and subtract them to get the range. Next, you have your outliers, which are the extremes we talked about earlier. One definition of an outlier, or the technical term, is any data point that's more than 1.5 IQRs below the first or above the third quartile in the data set. Basically, when you're looking at a box and whisker plot, the data points that are very far away from the rest of the data are the outliers, or the extremes. Next, you're going to have the median. And median looks like the word middle, which works because it's also the middle value in the set of data, which means if you have all of your numbers in the data set, you're going to look at the one that's the middle value. And then lastly, you have your mode, which is the value that appears most frequently or often in the set of data. So per se, if you had 3 5s in a set of data and compare it to just one of each other number, your mode would be 5 because there's 3 of them. So just another overview, the box and whisker plot is the graphic way to display all of this prior vocabulary, your median, your quartiles, your extremes, and your interquartile range. And so you have, on this plot, your quartiles, and then you have the extreme values. And so the extremes are the same as the outliers. And then you have your quartile 1, which is the median of the lower half of the data set. So if you have your broad median, then you have your lower half, and then the median of that lower half is quartile 1. And then Q2 is the median of the whole. And then Q3 is the same thing as Q1, except for it's for the upper half now. So if you have your Q2, Q1 is below Q2, and Q3 is above Q2. So it's just going to read 1, 2, 3 from left to right. So now we're going to take you into an example to show you how to construct a box and whisker plot and how to read it. So let's pretend that you're given this set of data. So you have 2, 32, 17, 4, 8, 19, 15, 15, and 6. So the very first step you want to do is you're going to look at your data set, and then you want to put it in numerical order, going from least to greatest. So now, instead of being all these random numbers in a huge jumble, you're going to have 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 15, 15, 17, 19, and 32. So now you have a more clear representation of what exactly the data set you're working with is. So now you can tell that 1 is the lowest number and 32 is the highest. Now that you have your data in order and you know what exactly the numbers you're using on the plot are, you're going to want to find the median of your data. So the broad median is when you use the whole data. And so basically how you find median is, if you follow my mouse here, you're going to start from the left side, which is the lowest number, and you're going to cross this one out. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side, which the 32 is the biggest number, and you're going to cross that one out as well. Then you're just going to keep going back and forth to the next number. The 2, cross that out, go to the 19, cross that out, and you're going to keep going here, 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 all the way until you're in the middle. And you should just have one number left, and you can't cross out 2 numbers because there's only one left. And so this here would be your median. And that median right there is 12. And then also it's good to remember that your main median of all of the data set is the same thing as quartile 2. So this 12 is both your median and your Q2. And so the median divides the data into 2 halves. And so, as I said earlier, the median is Q2. So this is highlighted here that 12 is Q2. And so now you have your lower half of the data set being 1 through 8, and your higher half or your upper half being 15 through 32. The median is on its own. It's not in either half because it's what's dividing the numbers into halves. And so now what you want to do is you're going to look for your other medians which are your other quartiles. And so we're going to start with Q1. And so since you have your Q2 in the middle, which is 12 again, and now you know that this is your lower half of the data set, 1 through 8, you're going to do the same thing you just did to find Q2. So you're going to start here, cross out the lowest value, go to the other side, cross out the highest, then go back, cross out this one, go forth, and then cross out this one, and then your one left is 4. And so since this is the one left, and it's the median of the lower half of the set of data, this is your quartile 1. And so this is how you divide or separate the lower half of the data. So now you have your Q1 and your Q2. And so now what you need to find is your Q3. So what you're going to do here is the same thing you just did for Q1, except now you're dealing with the upper half of your data. So once again, you're going to cross out, cross out, cross out, cross out. And so now you're left with one number, which is 17. So that you can circle, and you know that that's your Q3. So now you've organized your data set, you've crossed it out to find the main median, which is Q2, then you've split it into the upper and lower halves and found your other medians of those. So now you have Q1, Q2, and Q3. Now you're almost ready to start making your graph. Next, what you want to do is find the extreme values, which are also known as outliers. And so when you're scanning the list of your data that you've put in numerical order, it's easy to see that 32 is the big number, and it's way different from all the other ones because it's much greater than 19 and certainly much greater than 1. And so it's much bigger than all the others, and it's an outlier because it sticks out, and you say, oh, that's a huge number. And so now we have all of our data compiled, so we know that our median is 12, which is the same thing as our Q2. And then we have our Q1 being 4, our Q3 being 17, and then we have one outlier of 32. And so now we want to start constructing our graph. And so for the first step you want to do when you're making your box and whisker plot is you want to create a number line that will contain all of the data values. So it's important to make sure that your number line goes a little bit beyond each of the end values. And if you go back and see in the data plot, or the set of data, your lowest number is 1, and your highest number is 32. And so here on this number line we have here, the lowest number we put is 0, and the highest number we put is 35, which is a little bit beyond the highest and lowest values, just so you don't want your very end of the graph to be the very end of the graph. You want to have it a little bit longer so that way you can see the whole graph in context of an imaginary large number line. So now that you've found all of your components and made a number line that's a little larger than all of your data values, you're going to want to start setting up the box. So this is the first half of the box in Whisker Plot, which is the box. And so first what you want to do is you know that your Q1 is 4 and your Q3 is on this side, and so you're going to draw a box where the farthest end lines up with the 4, which is your Q1, and then this end also lines up with the Q3. And so now you have Q1 and Q3. And then you also know that your Q2 is 12, and you're going to draw a third line there. So now Q1, Q2, and Q3 are all labeled and put on the graph. And so now you just want to connect it and make a huge big box. So now you can see that this is a big rectangle box, and then with the Q2 here, you can see clearly where the upper half and lower half of the data is. And so you're almost done. Now you want to do the whisker plot part of your box and whisker plot. So now, how to make the whiskers is you have your extreme values. So your lowest value is a 1, and your highest value is 32. So you're going to put dots where both of those values are. And then you simply connect them to the middle of the quartile 1 and quartile 3 that you already put on the graph. And so now, you've constructed your data. It's easy to read. You have your lowest and your highest value, your quartile 1, which is the median of the lower half, your quartile 2, which is the median of the whole set, your quartile 3, which is your median of the upper half of data. And then from here, you can do many things such as subtract your Q3 and Q1 to find your interquartile range. You can also see that the median is here, or you could subtract the highest and lowest values to get your normal range. And so this box and whisker plot has been created to show easy visual representation of the data. So you took that whole line of random jumbled up numbers and turned it into this great graph, which is easy to analyze, understand, and view your data in a clear way. Thanks for watching.